Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to get started. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, Karen.
Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Karen. Minutes of the Commissioners' meeting for December 15th, 2016.
Nicole, I reworked that resolution and laid it there for you to look over. Perfect. Is that okay? Yeah. Dolores and I were discussing that last night. I showed that to her also, and she wanted to know if maybe we needed to make Home for the Aged more specific, because Home for the Aged could mean the senior center, or it could mean lots of different facilities. I mean, you know, we know what we're thinking of, but
the problem is that's the wording from, so I'm taking it from the wording of the actual mill levy vote. Yeah.
Mill levy resolution.
So.
Okay.
Because, I mean, technically we would be authorized under that to build any of those things.
Correct.
So I think probably being more general is better.
And
I emailed that resolution and those transfers to John Mapes, and I haven't heard back. So I guess my thought process is if he gets back and he has any thoughts on it, we could always do an amended resolution to fix it, but I think we probably need to go in and take care of it. So
okay. That was two different invoices that came in, two different billings. One of them, 1 month didn't get paid, and that was the next month.
Nicole, did you have anything?
No.
Did you guys get through the minutes and warrants? Rodney, did you?
I've reviewed them. I only have one question.
Okay.
On page 4, D. Wilson charged $104.50 for custom metal plates. Do you have that?
I think, I'm sure it has that skit. Just a minute. You might initial those after you look at it as well.
Custom metal plates, laver engraved, mounted on finished plaques. And bills from Overland Park Awards. If she did this because she was directed to do it, then we probably should pay for it. But if she did this on her own and then turned the claim in, we should disallow it.
These are probably achievement plaques.
Huh?
These are probably achievement plaques because there's quantity 8 I would assume that,
I would guess she was in Kansas City, and while she was down there, Reed had her pick him up. But I don't know that.
Yeah.
that would be a question for Reed, but there are probably plaques for his EMTs for good service, would be my
Okay.
guess, recognition. Because
Well,
there's a
give
total
those
of
back
8
to
of
her.
them. If you want to, I don't know if he's coming in today.
No, he's.
I guess if
from
you want,
medical.
you could call Reed and find out, Rodney.
Is it worth bothering the man for?
He's on medical leave.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's getting a knee surgery, I think today, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I just know he's gone on medical leave.
No, I don't want to bother somebody that's,
You may make a note and then you can ask him next time.
Okay.
But whereas there's, engraving and then there's plaques, I would assume that
Okay.
it's year-end plaques. Did you have any other questions?
no.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that, well, wait a minute, do we approve the minutes first?
We have, yeah, go
Okay, I'll
ahead.
make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 30th as written.
What about the revision you made?
Pardon?
Well, that was before, you noted it, that was in the unofficial minutes.
Okay.
So I made you aware of it because it was an update from the unofficial minutes, so.
I'll second.
Okay.
All
Okay.
those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Okay. The warrants,
I do have, on the accounts payable warrants, if you would include the vision care, I had to run 2 sets, or I had to run an additional vision care. The vision care bill did not get paid and it needed to be paid. So I ran that and it was for $437.80.
okay.
But if you would include that with this one,
We've got,
that's payroll.
Okay.
oh, that was payroll? Okay,
We'll get to payroll.
all right.
We had to run a second set on that, but
All right.
if we'll approve the accounts
All right.
payable first.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the accounts payable payment registry dated 12/13
Second.
as amended.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
And that was just our monthly bill.
Okay. Wait a minute now, something. Do we have to sign both sheets?
No, just that first sheet.
Just that first sheet? Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the accounts payable, or the payroll register.
And also include in that, we had a department that missed paying 2 employees. So we had to run another payroll in the amount of $742.10, if we could approve that as well.
All right, as amended for $742.10.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
And I don't have, let me ask Shirley something. Shirley,
Got a few abatements.
Now, was the amended one on this?
No, it's,
Because I do have a copy of it here.
she'll get that second payroll done. This one is just the withholdings portion of the payroll. But Shirley's going to give me that portion of the payroll. That's just the 2 wire registers that come through accounts payable that have to be processed in addition to the payroll warrant.
Okay.
What about the bid for the tax sale
Yeah, they need to take that up.
today?
Okay. We'll pass the deadline, right?
You guys have got a letter here in your packet from the league. I read the brochure. There was only a single brochure. But this entire thing is for cities. My recommendation is we ignore this. For $779.47 to be membership of something that pertains to cities, I can't see it. If the city of St. Francis wants to participate on their money, do so. Same way with Bird City. But for the county to do it, no.
I agree.
Okay. We don't even have to bring that to a motion.
Historically, we have not paid it, but I wanted you to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That just needs your signature.
That's just approval for insurance.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I read this over. Ryan gave this to me to give to Brett to sign.
Yeah, I'm fine with
It's out of the fire department funds, I believe.
Okay. Employee job descriptions. We need on there.
What's that?
Employee job descriptions on old business.
We have one more signature. Or 12.
Okay, we have them here in front of us.
Oh, you know what, I put the wrong date on this one.
it. About 16 hours of reading there.
December.
Pardon?
So there's only about 16 hours of reading there.
Okay.
What I did is I handed these out to each department head or elected official, informed them that if they wanted to make changes, they could do so. And then that they should try to return them by Friday so that they could be mailed, copies could be mailed out. I know some of them weren't able to do that. I'm not sure how many even got returned.
A few.
Do you have a separate packet, Deb, of those that were returned?
Yes, I do. I have. I gave you gentlemen each a set of the original, and then these are the ones that were returned. So I didn't know how you wanted to handle that. Some of them don't have too many corrections. Some of them look really good. You could go through them really easy, and then there's others that you probably would want to sit down as a board and visit with the individual department heads.
Do these have the corrections on them?
No,
that you
those
gave
are the originals.
These are the originals. Those are the
Those
ones
are
that
the
were
ones.
returned, yeah.
These are what the department heads have returned for their employees.
So I think you guys need to continue to work on that and plan on adopting them for the next meeting. Because I know the only person that contacted me was Dan Blair, and I know he had a lot of questions and
Did he?
concerns.
I told him that, it was a volunteer and it was Austin Peters. So
Yeah, and I think there's some things that definitely need to be
Good.
fixed on that one, because
Okay.
I don't think it's a,
So you think we ought to review what we have? Okay. I think we can do that. Start reviewing what we have.
and I'm not saying you need to do that right now necessarily. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if you want to work on that separately, talk to employees, and then come in prepared to adopt that on the 30th. But, the only one that contacted me with anything was Dan. But looking at it, I know it doesn't quite fit what he's doing right now.
Okay.
And I think that was one of those things, that job description was written with an intent that we were going to kind of do something different.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's very representative for the job he's actually doing right now.
Do you think we need a special work day? Because if we just wait till the 30th to adopt it, we're going to be in the same scenario we are
That's up to them.
right now without a work
Is this
day.
something you guys want to tackle with the new board and the new handbook?
I think
we-
this is
we-
a separate issue from
Well, as
the
far
book.
as,
I
yeah.
think, because were you asking about the relation of this to the handbook? I feel like it's separate, and
It's more,
I mean, this
it's
is
more
what we gotta
involving
get
Kay,
the
is
employees
it
to
not?
agree
I
to.
think so.
Okay.
As-
That's the way I
As
interpreted
far
it.
as getting payroll ready to set up for the new year, it's very important to get these job descriptions because they're all going to have to be revised in a final copy.
Yeah.
The date's going to need to be changed on all of them. The wage agreements are going to need to be done, and all of that needs to go out. That documentation needs to go out to every employee and come back, and we've got to get those changes made for payroll for 2017. And needs to be approved by the board. So the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to get all of that accomplished.
How many have turned theirs back in with the changes, and the changes look good? I'm just wondering how many we have to address.
I haven't looked through them individually. It took quite some time to run originals for you guys last night.
Yes, she did.
I don't think the appraiser's office.
Did you ever, what did
Turn
we decide on
theirs.
the title thing?
And I know I'm
Did you
missing
ever get
some
back
of
with
the
her on
road and
that?
bridge.
I had told her she could come to the board and discuss the title.
Because I think, if you
That's
guys
kinda
set
what I told her.
a working day for like 3 hours or something,
We're not,
and then send an email out to employees that if they had any questions or concerns to come to that would probably be
Okay.
the easiest thing to do.
I don't know. I see this one, she was supposed to be in here, and then she didn't give it. I don't know. If somebody wants to give himself a better title, I don't.
when those are final, they become part of or a condition of employment. Am I correct?
I wouldn't. I mean, I would say it sets expectations for the employees.
Okay.
I don't want to say it's a condition of employment,
All right.
and I think it gives better
Clarity?
clarity to the employee about what they're expected to do, and then ultimately when supervisors start moving to doing a more formal annual review, it gives them to something to actually look at.
Right.
Shelley's concern was the title. She felt that her title should be facilities manager. And I tried to explain to her before I lost my temper that the title was assigned by Austin Peters based on what her job entailed, not what a title was. So a facility director would have people under them. It's a totally different job description.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Ground maintenance, I mean,
A facilities director
Well, she
would
had
be
me
a
write down
totally
what it
different
was, and I'll
job
give it to
description
Shirley one
than
day.
what a janitor
Well,
would be.
I mean,
Because
in
Deb
some
was
ways,
calling.
to me,
Okay.
I
the
think it
description
was
is the
facility
description.
Yeah.
coordinator
I-
or something. But I mean, I looked it up.
'Cause one thing I wanna-
It's the same damn thing.
right.
I want to keep in mind here at this point, I mean, these are not legal questions. This is just a matter of how do you want to define what the employees want. And I mean, it's up to you. I mean, yes, titles are important, but I don't think they're end of the world. I mean, how you guys want to handle that is totally up to you.
What about titles that the law, in this case Kansas statute, direct that you can or cannot use?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay, a county engineer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a statute. You have to be
An actual certified
qualified
engineer. Sure.
engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be able to survey. And we don't have a county engineer because both of those things are not met.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But how is that relating to what you're talking about right
Okay, now let's go to the next step. Let's go to the Director of Public Works. That requires that the county have a sewage system under that department, a recreational facility under that department, parks under that department.
now? Okay, but
It requires a resolution.
I understand that, but that's not what we're talking about. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a title.
Okay.
I'm talking about a title.
I get that, but how is that specific concern for the specific title you're talking about? I mean, I understand you can't call someone an attorney if they don't meet the basic requirements of an
Right,
attorney.
right.
And I do think it's important to be thoughtful about titles as it relates to if someone's an exempt, an exempt employee or a non-exempt employee. To make sure you're not giving them a title that's too administrative sounding. Does that make sense? But other than that, I guess I'm not seeing what you're saying as it relates to the current job description. And I mean, one way or the other, my understanding is you guys are going to schedule a work day for 3 hours, give employees a chance to come in and talk, right?
I think we probably should.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what time it is. Morning or afternoon. Afternoons were better.
12. How's that work for you, Rodney? December 27th at noon?
Fine.
And we'll address the ones that have questions. Those that don't and agree, we won't worry about.
Can you put a work date out?
Yes, I can. We've got one more.
One more week, please. Okay.
Is that okay with you, Nicole?
I'm sorry, when,
December 27th at noon. We'll address those that want to be addressed. Otherwise, the ones that are okay with their job description, we don't need to mess with.
Okay.
Cody, did you have something?
Yes.
Okay.
Since I didn't get to make the meeting last week, I know it's kind of, I'm not on the agenda or anything today, but, or not last week, last time.
Uh-huh.
I had a few things, but it's only if you guys have time. I know he's got a meeting in Atwood at 9.
Okay.
Or you got to leave to go to, so I don't want to jump in front of Ryan. I know he's got a schedule he's got to keep.
Okay.
And his. That's
Ryan, what did you have then?
Well, I just, on the agenda, I saw where you guys were going to discuss transfers, and I wanted to bring up that we deposited the EMPG money
Okay.
in the treasurer's office, which is the first check. The second check has not come yet, but the first check was $10,000 that has been deposited.
Okay.
That money was expended out of my budget. So I don't know your guys' transfer policy, but we somehow need to fix that because it came out of personnel of my budget, but the money is sitting over in the grant fund, so we somehow need to fix that
so the
Okay.
the money in the grant fund needs to be transferred over to
to
your
personnel,
Okay.
or personnel expense needs to be however you want to fix it. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is that's going to fulfill a $10,000 gap in this.
Oh, right.
So that's why I wanted to bring that up.
Deb, will you? I think we probably need a resolution to accomplish a transfer. Will you write that down and then run it by Dolores to make sure we're doing that right, so we have it for the next meeting?
Does that make sense, Rodney?
Mhm.
Because right now you're showing personnel is over budget, which
Mhm.
it is, but when that money goes in, personnel will drop back down, if that makes sense. So I wanted to bring that up before you guys go into that. That will change that significantly.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was just talking about the emergency money that was deposited to do his personnel.
We need a resolution to transfer the money from
Yeah.
the grant into that, right? Or can you just transfer that?
I don't think we've ever had a resolution.
We've never
Okay,
had
so
a
can we
resolution.
just do a
I think it's
transfer
been
fund on
motion
that?
of the board
Okay.
to take-
And then just do the form that we've been using?
Okay.
Great.
So do we need a motion on that?
For a resolution?
No, just
No,
make a
for the
motion.
transfer.
Just make a motion.
Transfer.
Okay, make a motion that we transfer the EMC, 10,000 was it?
PG.
Okay, 10,000 from grant to
Personal.
personnel for
Where did you
emergency services.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
So I just missed where it's coming from and out of. I'm sorry. Can't listen to two things.
Yeah.
Okay. Your motion was to transfer the EMPG of $10,000 out of what fund?
It's in grant, right?
Where did you put it in?
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
county general grants.
Is the rest of that money for equipment or what?
No, there's some other expenses yet too, but we don't have that check yet deposited to do
Okay.
anything other than that. So we're still waiting on it. Sometimes those don't get here until after the first of the year, and that's challenging, but we're trying to get them all here, but that one has already came.
Okay. Okay.
So just keep that in mind when you guys go into that discussion, that will change that. Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, come on up, Dolores.
Good morning. The first thing I need to discuss with you is I'm going to be over in my budget this year. I think this is the second time I've ever done this. But I went back and figured out why, because I really haven't ordered anything extra different other than I did change my company where I ordered my tax supplies, and so there were set-up cost fees.
Okay.
But I'm going to be about $4,500 over. My phone bill went up almost $1,700 that I did not anticipate. And my personnel, of course, went up $6,700 more, so I had almost $1,200 of unexpected raised expenses that I did not anticipate, so I'm not proud of the $4,500 I'm going over, but considering I had almost $12,000 no verge, I'm not ordering anything else, just waiting out for the year. The only thing we'll have is our personnel, and that's what will end up putting us over.
How do you think you're going to end up for December on your personnel? Will you have a little surplus there, or will it be just liquidated? I mean,
I did my estimation of.
There are some surpluses in the entire general fund, so
Right.
it
looks like to me every category is going to go over. The commodities were the setup fees for the new tax supplies, but I also had ordered some tax supplies that I'll have for next year that I won't have to order next year. So, and then the contractual, that was basically raises the cost of publications, and then my phone bill starting in May almost doubled in what I was paying before. So those last several months have been more than I anticipated, and I don't think we budgeted for the anticipation of the raised salaries either. So, and then the other thing, I didn't know if you guys got a chance to read over those policy and procedure for the transfer.
have these been reviewed by the attorney?
Yes. She didn't find any issues with it, but I just wanted to have the Board of Commission kind of adopt this by motion, that if they approve of it, or if there's any changes that need to be made. Did you keep a copy for yourself? Okay. Have you hired an abstractor yet?
No, they were going to take the bid up on that today.
So you'll probably want a new listing?
I'm sorry?
You'll probably want a new listing.
Yeah.
I got no objections on these.
Me neither. There's more paperwork.
Yeah, and I think all
It's-
that's great. So
Well,
It's-
I can tell you that when we I had Don go through the grants because we're getting ready to move that out, and that's, I'm going to need some direction from either Nicole or the board of how to handle that, because there were a lot of transfers for when there's a grant approved or something approved and something's supposed to be paid from the budget. Those transfers are not always getting made, so we've got a mess, and so I figured this might help resolve that situation in the future.
It'll give you a paper trail to find
That's right, and it covers my
Yeah,
backside.
I think that's good. That's why I started the other form
Yeah,
about 2
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
because we didn't have anything to track transfers.
Right.
And I had read what another county was doing, and I contacted them, and they sent me a copy of their form, and that's what I initiated.
And I
So-
basically just took your form and just kind of revised it a
Yeah,
bit
well,
and
each
added a little more information. So,
While I have you here, and we're talking about transfers and talking about grants, I came in last night and put all of that information up on the blackboard. I'd like you to go over one thing with me, if you would. This is the ambulance budget. Capital outlay was not budgeted for this year. $10,294 has been spent. Commodities, $62,480 was budgeted. $56,161 was expended. Contractual, $65,400 was budgeted. $64,597 expended. Personnel, $152,000 was budgeted. We have spent $158,836. Remaining for capital outlay is a negative $10,294. We're to the good on commodities, $6,494. Contractual, we're to the good, $7,091.11. Personnel, we're at a negative $6,036. Now here's my question. Because the equipment reserve of $70,000 is sitting there and has not been moved that I'm aware of, we subtract, if I understand that correctly, we subtract the negative amount from the equipment reserve. What we have left that can be transferred is $56,454. Am I correct on that?
is it 3,500 your net? I mean, is that your what he's showing as the remaining balance?
Okay, remaining balance for these four line items is a negative $3,554. So you subtract that from the $70,000. As of December 15th, the only money left that can be transferred is $56,451. Now, last year, there was put into the fund $15,000, and out of that was spent $1,000 something for some reason. But we have to get up to whatever the percentage is that our grant says that the county share is going to have, and I don't remember. Brett, was that a 30/70 or a 28
On the split for the ambulance?
for the ambulance?
Gosh, 3781.
I mean, I've seen so many of these
I don't
grants all year
remember.
long that I don't remember.
The
But at
county
any
share
rate,
is
we have to have
85,000.
a county
I
share
don't know what split that is.
that we have
I
signed.
didn't think that would be 30/70 then.
Well, there was 15,000 in to come from equipment reserve and 70 was in budgeted.
Right.
But I don't know what the split is.
Right.
So, to me, it looks like we're going to be short, but we do have money in the equipment reserve account, but it belongs to other people. We're gonna have to make a decision that's gonna upset some people if we take their money to cover this
Have you emailed the
Those are the
department head
facts.
and Dolores to get department heads' view too about what's going on?
So, pardon?
Have you emailed the department head to ask his input about what's going on as well? I mean, to me, I think the department head and Dolores should be emailed so they can start working together and come to you guys.
I can do
Okay.
that. I can do that.
Okay.
But it's a dilemma that we're going to be facing at the end of the year. And we still have expenses coming in for the next 15 days, and then there will be expenses coming in, probably what, January and maybe even into February from different departments?
Well, from different departments.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still expensing or not, but that's a possibility, yes.
Yeah.
Why don't we show on our sheet that it's a negative instead of he's,
Because I figured in what we signed off on today. There's two additional weeks of expenses.
That budget still has the $70,000 in it.
I see.
See? And it hasn't been transferred. That's why the figures differ. I'm looking at it in a little different way, but if I understand correctly, we've got a minor problem here, if you will.
But
Major problem.
basically, you're right. I mean, the way the transfers for like equipment reserve and capital outlay happen, they've been after the audit is completed, and the audit shows the budget authority whether they have the money left in their budget or not.
Mm-hmm.
With the county general, it could be just basically it's the Board of Commissions decision whether they do it by department or whether they do it by the remaining balance of the general.
Mm-hmm.
If there's enough to do everybody's transfers, whether they're in a positive or negative of their budget, you could still transfer that all. If the county general ending authority does not have enough, then you'll have to decide how much and from where and who gets what.
Okay, could you get me a current copy of the 218, the equipment
Oh,
spreadsheet that you had,
Yeah.
so that I know who has already budgeted and who is under the impression that they've got in the pot.
Okay,
Okay.
I can do that.
How the hell did you figure that 70,000 minus 3,500, 66, not 56?
Yeah, but that's, I mean, he still has payroll for
I mean, did you
December
figure in the next 2
30th to
weeks
come
or
out of there
what?
too.
No,
so.
no. I'm just using.
Well,
I'm just
then
using.
your math's wrong up there.
No, it's using these.
70,000 minus 56 is 66, not 56.
You'd be subtracting the 3,500 from
No,
the
I'm
70,000.
subtracting the negative amount is all I'm subtracting.
The 3,500.
Yeah.
Well, then that's 66, not 56.
Oh, then I made a transposition.
I just thought maybe
Yeah,
you
well,
had
hey.
something smarter than I could figure out. See, we just made 10 grand.
There you go.
So did I answer your question on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easier to come up with. That's 14.
In fact, why don't you make copies of the other accounts that you maintain,
I will. I'll-
and then
Well,
we'll have
I
them
didn't either.
available
I thought
for
I
the
might
next
have to go
meeting.
back there and look that over.
I should have caught that, but I didn't.
You need to use colored chalk so I can see it better.
Okay, so I was just wondering if you would approve or would be willing to approve the policy and procedure for the transfers then?
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
I don't think we need a motion on this. She's an elected official.
Yeah, I mean, my view on that is that's a department policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You adopt that as a department,
And out of courtety, she lets us know.
which is great, but technically, and I think this is something I've been hearing
But it's
different.
basically for a policy for the whole county to follow.
From your
So,
department.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is something that I've heard some confusion on. I mean, we have general county policies, but department heads, especially elected officials, have the ability to adopt their own policies. So I think it's great to let the board in on that, but you can just adopt that formally in your office by signing off on it, and then start a policy and procedures book of your own.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on up, Lou.
I'll try to keep it short. I am going to go into executive session for non-elected personnel.
How long do you need?
5 minutes.
I make a motion that we enter into executive session for non-elected personnel.
I'll second.